Hey, this is IHSAHN from Emperor, and you're watching Loud TV. As you know, Emperor developed, I at some point I ended up making more and more of the music, and eventually I did all the music, and we rather stopped at the level where we were all, creatively, involved, rather than doing it for keeping the logo or for any of those reasons. And at this point, there's so much nostalgia attached to what we do, and we've been in the privileged position that people have developed a similar relationship, if you will, to our, these old songs that we did, as we are as fans have to other bands. It's a very humbling position to be in, and if you turn it around, with it, what kind of Emperor album could we possibly do? What kind of Emperor album could we possibly do? Should we make something that sounded like old Emperor, or should we do something that would be like Emperor as what it would sound today? If it was up to me, Emperor would sound like my solo records, because that's how I write metal. It's kind of a lose thing, because the whole point of black metal and all this, people want something that is real, with the integrity of what it is, and at this point, none of us can see any reason to do that beyond what we already do. At least for just speaking for myself, I think it's I get to play all these old songs, to people who have this, strong relationship to it in a similar way as I, as a fan, have. And but I also get to do my solo albums and explore, continue that musical journey, and I see no reason to change that. We're at a very fine, position now that we all just get to do, what all of us wants. If there's some kind of festival or some kind of show that, doesn't fit into a schedule, or, that's fine. We just do just the stuff that is cool for all of us to do. Yeah, and the Anthem songs a lot of the Anthem songs tend to end up in our sets either way, so it's just one of those things. It was kind of natural for us not to play as much from Prometheus. I guess that we've only ever done one song from that, and that's, I guess, the complexity of that record, and the others not being as involved, in that regard, is probably part of that. For me personally, I have a kind of a special relationship to each of the albums. But I think just and it's also a matter of what kind of songs work in the live environment. And I noticed that from my own, solo catalog as well, that some of the music lends itself easily to the stage, and other music, is best, kept on the record, or they would have to, even some of my solo songs, I would have sometimes rearranged them for a live scenario, because it differs for the environment. So I guess that's part of it. I never read the book, I never watched the movie. I can understand that people are fascinated by the story or that phenomenon, but on a personal level, no. I guess it's that kind of peaking mentality, and it's like in the people also watch The Dirge, from Motley Crue. It's just not my genre. I don't care. But I've heard every possible version of all those things. I get confused myself. I've been called stuff, and people have attributed me to these ideas or these ideas. I've been called so many things, or put into and I'm sure it's the same thing. I've taken a lot of shit for the early Emperor albums by the same magazines that later have praised them as important. It's gone up and down, and the only thing I can kind of be or rely on. The only thing I can rely on is that I have to just be very, very narrow-minded and enjoy the ride of my passion for music and do my stuff. But the popularity or like places like this, I played high on the bill, I played the middle of the bill. I'm the same person. Everything else changes. It's like the stock market. When you put stuff out there, I think it's a natural tendency that people take ownership of it. But I think a lot of the idea of the aesthetics of black metal is to own things for your own, and not make those compromises and everything. And it's also, just very lucky. We get to do this stuff, from time to time and do shows and everything. But back in Norway, we all have very private, normal lives, and there's no attention around what we do. Which I think is perfect. They're in my studio doing my thing, and occasionally I get to go out and do this, and then go back again to Telemark and just be me. There are new stuff in the work, but not necessarily an album at this point. But I think there are some announcements maybe coming later this week.